Welcome back to Happy Place Cooking. Today I am going to be making a pork loin au gratin. The pork loin's not exactly au gratin, but the potatoes that are going to be cooked with it will be. So let's go get this started. First thing that I want to get started on is this cheese. This is actually going to be cheese for my topping, but I'm going to go ahead and get it shredded up and set it aside. It won't be too long, of course, and then I'll be using it anyway. Now, bear with me. This is a new gadget. I haven't used it yet, so yeah. Hopefully it works okay. The base of an au gratin is a creamy sauce, a creamy cheesy sauce. So I'm just going to chop up this Velveeta here, and then I'll get started on making the sauce. Just going to get this butter melted here. Once it gets a little bit melted, I'm going to put some spices in there. I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of each of these. Oregano, basil, black pepper, Himalayan pink salt, and ground mustard. And then I'm only going to add 1/4 teaspoon of thyme. Just going to mix that in, let it cook for a second. Now I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. And you can make this with gluten-free flour. It does work. I've done it. Get a nice paste on that. I'm going to add in 1 cup of chicken broth. And I do have this set on a medium heat. Now that's already beginning to thicken. Add in 1 cup of half and half, and you could use milk. Now I'm going to just let that simmer for a little bit and bring the temperature up just a smidge so it can start to get a good simmer on it. That is beginning to get a nice thickness to it. Going to go ahead and add in my Velveeta pieces and let those melt. That cheese is nice and melted. I'm going to remove this from the heat. This pork loin has already been seasoned. It is garlic and herb. I'm going to cut this into pieces. You can cut this as big a pieces as you'd like, or you could actually leave it whole. I just think it will be easier to serve up once it's all cooked if it's cut into some chunks. I'm just gonna go with what, 2 to 3 inch chunks, I think. I'm going to line this into the middle. I didn't get that quite cut. Right into the middle of my casserole dish. I already washed my potatoes. Now I'm going to try this slicer and see how it works. Let's see. Hey, not bad. As you can see, the KitchenAid does do a little bit of almost shredding rather than slicing, but I did get some good slices out of this, and I can work with this. It's fine. My potatoes, I'm going to attempt to sort of stack upright rather than laying them down. I'm going to take my white cheesy sauce and I am going to pour this across all of the potatoes. And I do want to use the whole pan of sauce. I'm going to cover this with my lid, and I'm going to stick it in my preheated oven for about an hour. This has been in for an hour. The potatoes are pretty well cooked. The pork loin I thought would be a little more cooked than what it is, but hopefully it'll get done within the next bit of baking time. I'm just going to top this with the cheese that I shredded at the beginning of this video. This is just a cheddar. I mostly just want to make sure it gets on the potatoes. I'm not concerned about it being on the pork loin center. And I'm going to leave the lid off. I'm not going to put the lid back on. I am going to put it back in the oven, still at the 400-degree temperature. And I'm going to leave it in for at least 30 minutes, possibly a little bit longer. Well, that extra 30 minutes was just enough time to get that pork tenderloin done. It's nice and tender and juicy. My potatoes, you can see, has a nice browning to them from the cheese that I topped them with. I'm going to dish a little bit of this up and give it a taste test and let you know how good this turned out. It smells amazing. Look at that. That looks amazing. Just gonna get a little bite of this. It is super hot. Get some of the potato in there. I don't just want a bite of cheese. Oh my goodness. That is so much better than boxed au gratin potatoes. I've never actually made homemade au gratin. That is so good. Get a piece of this pork loin. So good. So delicious. That is amazing. Have you ever made your own potatoes au gratin? Have you done it like this and added some meat in it? Comment below. Let me know what you thought of this dish. Thanks so much for watching. Happy eating.